So I am recording, just so you guys all know. Lynn from Canada, Brad from Wisconsin, Joel right now he is in Mexico. Uh, he's actually from Alabama. Betty and I are from Florida. Sean's in Florida, and Toby Beth's in Florida. And I think I just saw Yolena checking in. She'll be popping up here soon on the screen from Ohio. We are having a wonderful time. Everybody sliding in on their Harley Davidsons last minute, 7 p.m. We're ready to rock. We're recording. Yolena, put a smile on your face, young lady. It's good to see you all tonight. How's everything going, guys?
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Good.
silence. Thumbs up. Silence. Brad actually jumped off camera. I think I
I
scared
said
him.
Out,
fantastic. What do you mean there's silence?
outstanding.
Outstanding. Yes, we are. We're all doing well. So I always like to start off the meeting, the book study with people sharing a win they may have had over the last week. Uh, Before I do that, I want to welcome Betty back. Betty, you've been gone for 4 or 5 weeks now.
A couple months,
Yeah,
probably.
it's been a couple months.
Not
Transitioning into a new
three.
job, trying to figure things out, taking care of some elderly parents. So welcome back, Betty.
Thank you.
I certainly have missed you here. So who's got a win? Toby Beth, you're flipping up two fingers. What do you got?
It's actually, I'm still getting used to this. I've been invited to and sponsored to speak on a stage in Chicago on August 1st
Woo,
Oh,
congratulations.
at thank you, at a speaker conference.
nice. Nice. What are you going to speak on?
Uh, Empowerment and balanced success
Love it.
with and how I've achieved it through my personal journey.
Love it. That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's good stuff, right?
Yeah, it's going to be
Good,
great.
good
It
stuff.
is, gentlemen, I'm sure you guys have seen this all on Facebook. His name's Jacob Salem. And he's powered by Ziegler, so he's one of my colleagues, family member, we call them. And he runs a very successful speakers outlet or company with a bunch of other stuff as well. Shameless plug for Jacob. And he does this. I mean, it is a bit of pay for play. I was invited and ultimately turned it down. And then I received a phone call from another family member, colleague, who insisted that I not turn the invitation down and sponsored me.
So the cool thing here, guys, is Toby Beth and I, uh, we entered into a coaching relationship a little over a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago. And during our conversation, um, she was inspired to leave her position in the title industry and pursued um, her dream career to be a coach. Not with Napoleon Hill, to my demise,
Yeah.
but with Zig Ziglar. It's all good. And
Yeah.
and what I love about it is when people take a step out, they pursue their dream, and they gain success. She's now what's your total title now, Toby Beth? You're like,
Uh, I'm a certified Choose to Win coach, a certified legacy speaker trainer coach, and a master coach.
there you go. So she's gone up the ranks very quickly in that period of time, and now she's getting opportunities to speak and to impact the lives of others. So I think that's an awesome thing. It was a pleasure for me to be part of that journey, and we're still part of that journey because she's here in our room. So I think it's really cool. So with that, anyone else have a win they want to share?
Hey Frank, it's Nicole. Very similar. And Toby Beth, congratulations. I continue to be inspired by your stories. Um, I just maybe in the last week or so, I'd throw my name in the hat, but I got back that I was accepted actually in Cary, North Carolina. They have a Women's Innovation Summit. This is the 10th year anniversary, and I will be one of the four workshop leads that kicks off the event. So in the first week of September, that is kind of it's great that in my new role, the new me, not attached to any of my corporate work, but as my new speaker career and author, that I'll be doing that. So I'll have an audience of about 50 women, and it'll be about bringing more joy into your life.
Nicole, that's awesome. Matter of
I
fact, Nicole,
know.
Nicole, would you do me a favor? I mean, I'm
Yeah.
looking at your name. It's Nicole, dear
Oh, yeah.
leaderologist. How about tell everybody who you are, what you do.
Um, Yeah, I mean, I feel like I know so much of this group, but just to remind everybody, Frank and I met through Napoleon Hill initially, and yeah, basically, last year I had stepped away. I had made the decision to retire from corporate life and be in service. I had made that decision. Um, probably a year and a half to 2 years before that, and worked with financial planner, worked with my boss, because right, it's one thing to want to do that, but right, most of us can't do that tomorrow, right? It takes a lot of factors to come into place to make that happen. Um, and I did it. So last September, Friday, September 27th was the last day for me at Bank of America after over 20 years. And I'd put a plan together. My mom had moved in with me. She'd sold her house. My dad had passed away about a year and a half before that, and I was over the moon. Couldn't wait to do what I sought after doing, and it was all in place. I knew there was a lot of work ahead of me and plans to do that, and I also am in certification for EFT training, and I knew it was a road ahead, but it was the work that brings me joy, and to be able to help others, and it was exactly what I wanted to spend the rest of my life doing. And so that was that end of September. About a month later, my husband, at the time, a week before our 19th anniversary, decided this wasn't the life that he wanted, and wiped out all of our bank accounts and credit cards, and vanished. And I've not heard from him since. And but you know what? It's actually a blessing, because it has set me free. It has made me a whole lot braver and freer than I ever could have imagined. And it really showed me how much I was living in fear, and has made me so much stronger. And I relate to people in a completely different way. And I know how much less I need to be happy, and it's truly been a blessing, and the lessons just keep on coming. And when there's no safety net, right, and it's like, okay, right, I just, God's plan, I gotta keep trusting the people that have come into my life, like Frank. It's just amazing. The gifts keep coming, and all I want to do is share that and help people. So you may have heard that before, but thank you for giving me a few minutes to indulge everyone and remind myself of how far I've come, Frank.
Thank you, Nicole. And the reason I asked you to do that is because there are some people in the room who don't know you, who have just come back from a hiatus from our book study for different reasons. And I just want to make sure that everybody kind of has a sense of who we are, why we're here, what we're doing, and it's a safe place. Somebody actually shared with me what I consider to be an extremely high level compliment in my group studies that I do, and they simply said, I really feel comfortable here and safe and like I can share whatever. And
You
for
should. Frank
me,
saved my life. I've told Frank things I've never told anybody else.
mm, Nicole,
I
thank
wouldn't
you.
be here right now if it weren't for him.
Yeah, thank you for that. And that's not what I'm asking for, but thank you for that. I'm glad I've had that
No, I mean
impact.
that very sincerely.
And guys, you know what? This is what it's all about. If we simply focus our lives on serving others and trying to help other people, then this kind of stuff comes together. I've grown from a book study that was just simply people I knew in Florida to people that are all over the country. Bindu just joined in from India. So I mean, we're global here, and I think that is just so cool that we can do that. Bindu's in India, Lynn's in Canada. A lot of folks, as I already went through, they're across the country: Wisconsin, New Hampshire, New Mexico, or excuse me, Mexico, Alabama, North Carolina. This is good stuff. And what I ask you to do is what my CEO of Napoleon Hill asks us to do. Be the light. Be the light in somebody else's life, right? If you see somebody and you ask them, hey, how are you doing? Most people will respond, I'm doing fine. I'm doing great. I'm okay. Ask the next question. No, seriously, how are you doing? And when you ask that second question, it causes them to realize, no, you really want to listen to the answer. Because most people say, how are you doing? And they're not listening to the answer. It's just a, a way that we would greet people. How you doing? What's going on? No, I really want to know. And when you dig that just that little bit deeper, people will begin to share. People will begin to share because what's going on right now, no matter where you are in the world, is we don't feel comfortable sharing what we're going through. It's like it's a sign of weakness, when in fact it's not, because we're all going through it. We're all going through stuff. I don't care who
Yep.
you are, where you've been, we're all going through stuff. And isn't it cool that you can actually say, no, seriously, how you doing? What's going on? And I've done that with perfect strangers and heard stories that you would never believe. Nicole was one of those. Nicole and I met, we were perfect strangers. We met on a discovery call, and I learned so much about her life in just that 30 minutes that we spoke. And now we meet every week
Yep.
just to check in, connecting with people, helping any way we can. So I encourage you all, whatever you're doing in your lives, ask that extra question to show that you really do want to hear the answer. It's not just a stoic greeting, right? So look, we are at page 107 in Outwitting the Devil. And we dropped off. The devil was going through an interview. Yes, I am the devil. That's why I grew this beard, by the way. I just had to get some horns going on, right? I am the devil. And as always, we're looking for someone who will play Napoleon Hill for the evening. We're going to pick up where we left off last week. And this is a commentary from Sharon Lechter. So the version of the book that we're reading was actually put out there by Sharon Lechter, who was a partner with Robert Kiyosaki in some of his works. Those of you who don't know Robert Kiyosaki, he wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He's also a retired, not a retired, but he's also a former Marine. He was a helicopter pilot in Vietnam. And he is probably one of the richest guys in the world right now. So it's just Sharon, they partnered up together. They did some work, and then she put this book out. And we're picking up where her commentary says, "Hey, Edison." So we're talking about um, what's Edison's first name?
Thomas.
Thomas.
Thank you. That's what happens when you're almost 70. Thomas Edison converted failure into stepping stone to achievement, while the others used it as an alibi for not producing results. So the question that she poses for us as we begin tonight is, how are you dealing with failure in your life? Now remember, failure is a temporary thing, so it's nothing to be embarrassed about. We all do things, we fail at things, and we only fail if we don't get back up, right? So the question is, how are you dealing with failure in your life? Anyone have a comment about that?
Not well for me. I stressed myself out this weekend so bad that I got a cold sore.
Okay.
But and when I stress about things, I try to tell myself not to, and it's hard not to. So I struggle with that.
So let me pose this question. There have been studies in the past where when we start to stress out over things, we tend to worry about things that we have no control over,
Correct.
right? And so if you have no control over it, why would we entertain stressing out over it? Because we can't control the results. And I think the study, and I'm just going off the top of my head, of all the things that we worry about, only 2% of the things that we worry about can we actually do something about, which means 98% of the things that we stress over, that we worry about, we have absolutely no control. So we're wasting all that energy.
I
Right?
agree.
So it's really, really important. And I get it. I mean, it's not easy. My wife and I are going through a move right now, and we've got our home's for sale, and we've got a home sale contingency on the home that we're purchasing. And apparently, in the state of Florida, they don't do things like what we did in New Hampshire, where you get a full commitment. It's like a last minute thing. So we're not going to remove the home contingency until the deal's done. And so we're stressing over the fact that we might lose the house that we made an offer on in Central Florida because they're still doing home open houses, they're still doing showings. Now we have a right of first refusal, but at the end of the day, we can't control any of that. So there's no reason to worry. You have to put it in its proper place. And I think, Joel, you might agree that, as veterans, we kind of learn how to compartmentalize things, right? We kind of put things off into a different room in our brains. That doesn't mean it goes away. It just means that we learn how to control it. And so, looking at what you're going through in life, ask yourself the question, can I control this? Is there anything I can do to make this better? And if the answer is no, this is part of the 98% that I can't do anything about, there's a lot of power in just releasing it. Just release it. Yes, you're still going to be tied to it. Yes, it's still going to be there. It's not going to go away, but just release it. Take a deep breath and release it. And I personally have found meditation to help me with that. My morning meditations, I meditate every morning. I've recorded a couple of meditations that I listen to in my own voice so that it's more impactful for me anyway. And I've actually shared it with some of my clients. Lynn, I think I shared a copy with you. And Bindu, I did it with you as well. I think Toby Beth, I sent you a copy. If anybody wants one, just send me an email, let me know. Yeah, Betty, I sent it over to you. At the end of the day, you just have to get yourself into a routine that helps you to just start your day off calm. The problem's not going to go away, but understand that there are so many things that we cannot control. And if we simply accept that and release it, you'll be able to live your life a little bit more relaxed, a little bit easier. And at the end of the day, most times everything works out okay. Most times everything works out okay. So with that, we're going to move into, let's see, so we got an answer here. So I'm going to back up to, okay, so the last question that was asked, your explanation, oh, let me share. I always seem to forget to share. Here we go. Everybody see my screen okay? Let me just get my gallery together. There we go. So I'm going to go back just a little bit. The question from Napoleon Hill. Who wants to play Napoleon Hill tonight? Let's have somebody new. Somebody who's not done it before. Bindu, you've done it before. Go ahead. Go ahead, my friend. We'll start right here with, there you go.
If I understand you correctly, you claim there is virtue in failure. That does not seem reasonable. Why do you try to induce people to fail if there is virtue in failure?
There is no inconsistency in my claims. The appearance of inconsistency is due to your lack of understanding. Failure is a virtue only when it does not lead one to quit trying and begin drifting. I induce as many people as I can to fail as often as possible for the reason that not 1 out of 10,000 will keep on trying after failing 2 or 3 times. I am not concerned about the few who convert failures into stepping stones because they belong to my opposition anyway. They are the non-drifters, and therefore they are beyond my reach.
Your explanation clears up the matter. Now go ahead and tell me of some of your other traits with
Oops.
which you allure people into drifting.
One of the most effective tricks is known to you as propaganda. This is the instrument of greatest value to me in setting people to murdering one another under their guise of war. The cleverness of this trick consists mainly of subtlety with which I use it. I mix propaganda with the news of the world. I have it taught in public and private schools. I see that it finds its way into the pulpit. I color moving pictures with it. I see that it enters every home where there is a radio. I inject it into the billboard, newspaper, and radio advertising. I spread it in every place of business where people work. I use it to fill the divorce courts, and I make it to serve to destroy business and industry. It is my chief instrument for starting runs on banks. My propagandists cover the world so thoroughly that I can start epidemics of a disease, turn loose the dogs of war, or throw business into a panic at will.
If you can do all that you claim with propaganda, it is little wonder that we have wars and business depressions. Give me a simple description of what you mean by the term propaganda. Just what is it and how does it work? I wish to know particularly how you cause people to drift through the cause of this devilish device.
Propaganda is any device, plan, or method by which people can be influenced without knowing that they are being influenced or the source of the influence. Propaganda is used in business for the purpose of discouraging competition. Employers use it to gain advantage over their employees. The employees retaliate by using it to gain advantage over their employers. In fact, it is used so universally and through such a smooth and beautiful streamlined technique that it looks harmless even when it's detected. I want to take a stop right there, guys, just for a minute. What did you pull out of those last several paragraphs about propaganda and what's going on all around us?
That the news media and social media directs how we think about things and how we view ourselves, especially those of us that are not strong enough to withstand other people's opinions on what we should be thinking, feeling, seeing, and hearing.
You know, Toby Beth, it's any type of media, right?
Mhm.
Any type of media, social media, television, radio, newspapers. I mean, when there's a headline that goes out that stays a headline and the fanatics just kind of blow it all out of proportion. And we get to make a choice. We can investigate whatever it is that they're talking about and come up with the real facts. Because I don't care what side of the fence you're on, left, right, in the middle, just doesn't matter. We all have an opinion. And as Hill talks about in a lot of his writings, opinions are worth exactly what you pay for them, right? And so what he proposes is that we should do our own due diligence, is what we would call it in my industry in real estate. Uh, do some investigation, find out what the facts really are. Where are you going to find the facts? I don't know. They're everywhere. But you have to listen to all the information and then digest it in a way that helps you to make the decision that's good for you and for your families. You know, when the pandemic, all of us lived through the most recent pandemic. I mean, I shouldn't say everybody, a lot of people were extremely afraid to do anything, to go anywhere, to make contact with anyone. They were following the media. Now, frankly, I don't know what was right, wrong, or indifferent. I don't like to get into politics in this room, but at the end of the day, I made a choice. I'm just going to live my life. And I did. And yeah, I got a couple of shots so I could be around my granddaughter. I did what I had to do on request of my family. But at the end of the day, I listened. I actually heard something this morning during my walk because I'm listening to The Law of Success, which is an immense book. It's huge. And, they talk about making decisions for yourself, a mental decision. I'm not going to get sick. You know, there's actually factual studies that say even people who serve people who are ill, they just make up their mind, doctors and nurses especially, they make up their mind that they're just not going to be affected by these things. And they're not. So, how much control does your mind have over how your body reacts to the environment that we're living in? That's what I would ask.
Hey, Frank, it's Nicole.
Yes.
I'd agree with you. And I think, what Hill is saying, it's so insidious that it just kind of slips in the cracks of message, even from the pulpit, right? So you might think, oh, if it came from this source, I might be able to tell the difference. But if it was in a different situation, maybe I wouldn't necessarily naturally question. I think, that's kind of one of the points, that it comes from so many different places, that there's some areas we might be naturally curious versus others we might be more likely to accept things as we're hearing it. But yeah, that was just a really interesting passage.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things. I'm just sending a message to my wife to get the cat because she's making a lot of noise. Excuse me. There we go. Uh, it's one of those things that we really have to respect the fact that we have control. We truly have control. I just spoke with a client today, young real estate agent, and I said, you know what? When I was learning how to play golf, somebody said to me, it's just a matter of inches. And it's the inches between one ear to the next ear, right? You get to make decisions right up here in your mind. Isn't it ironic that the smallest part of our body is our head, which encompasses our mind, and yet it's the mind that controls the rest of the body, right? So when you come into circumstances and you evaluate, you get to make a decision. I had a client yesterday who talked about Hill's example of there's two currents in the river, and one current's flowing north, which brings you to wealth and prosperity. The other current is flowing south, same river, flowing south to poverty and failure and illness. And each one of us in this room have been in both sides of that current, of that river. Well, here in Florida, we certainly understand what a sandbar is. So let's just imagine that there's a sandbar in between those two currents. How easy is it for someone to roll over to the sandbar and cross to the other side of the river? And for me, that's depicting the fact that we get to choose if we're going to take control of our own mind or if we're going to continue to let others control our minds. So I choose to roll over to the side which is flowing north to wealth and prosperity and happiness. Yet some people will continue to flow down the other side of the river. And all they have to do is take a step. That's all they have to do is take a step, make a motion, take an action. Anyone have any comments or any other observations or opinions? I can wait. Sean, I see
All
you
I can,
smiling. Go ahead, Len.
Nah, I'd
Okay,
pretty
I
much
have
just
it.
say, oh,
Oh,
yeah, sorry
go,
about
no,
that.
go ahead.
No, go,
No,
Sean.
go,
Go.
Sean. Go, Sean.
Oh, okay. Nah, I just from what you said there, try to do whatever you got to do to get yourself on the north side of the river. That's all that was popping in my head.
Well, look, yeah, really, right? I mean, if you know you have an option, just take it. Do whatever you can do, whatever it takes. Go ahead, Len.
Well, I'm not too sure how this is going to go. Like you. All I can think about it is I'm a Pisces and I do have the fish going at both sides. And I, now that you bring it that way, I'm just finding many times as being a Pisces, I get in those situations. And for me to stay on the right side all the time, I need to be in the right circle of friends. I really need it maybe more than other people. But as you're talking, it kind of gave me a aha. And yeah, my circle of friends, they have to be very good and have NHI is the place to be. This is it for me. And
Well,
it's, yeah,
you got to find your crowd, right? And
yeah.
I think it was Jim Rohn. By the way, there's a great book out there. It's the only hardback cover book I've found written by Jim Rohn, or it was a compilation of Jim Rohn's studies. But one of the statements he makes is we are the sum of the 5 people that we live our lives with most, the 5 people that we hang around with most. So my question oftentimes is, who am I hanging around with? What's the input that I'm gathering? Am I hanging around with people that are dragging me down? Or am I hanging around with people that are lifting me up? So Lynn, what you're saying is really, really important.
Yeah,
Pisces are not. I'm a Capricorn, so we're just like a bull in a china shop. We don't care. But at the end of the day, who are you hanging around with? Who are you associating with? In my listening this morning on my walk, what are you feeding to your brain? What are you reading? What are you listening to? What are you watching? What's the environment that you're living in? Do you have control over that? It's being aware of everything that's around you that's impacting your life. The environment that you grew up in built who you are. The environment that you're currently living in can now be molded to who you want to be. So let me say that again. When we were growing up as young people, maybe from the ages of 0 to maybe 10, we're under complete control of everyone around us in our environment because they're teaching us how to walk. They're teaching us how to talk. They're feeding us the food that they eat. They're doing all the things that help to lay a foundation for who we are going to become. And then at some point we get to a position where we start making our own decisions. But unfortunately, our own decisions are being based on the things that our environment has fed to us. So we have to start to create the ability to make decisions on our own based on our own investigation of the environment that we're living in. And that's where things start to get tricky, right? Because now we have to make decisions. Well, wait a minute. My mom and dad always told me to do this, but that doesn't necessarily make it right. It's the environment that they grew up in. And so that got passed on to us by that heredity. And we get to make a choice if that's the right thing or not. Most people, in much of the writing that Napoleon Hill talks about, most people never take responsibility for making their own decisions. They simply flow with the decisions that they were raised with at a very young age, even though now they're at an advanced age. Well, that's just the way it was always done. And so they just continue to do that. So with all the propaganda that the devil here is telling us he's using to control us, using to get freedom with 98% of the population of the world, and he can do whatever he wants, is because people just don't make decisions. Earl Nightingale once interviewed, I can't remember the doctor's name, but he said, "Doctor, I don't understand. What's the problem with people today?" And the doctor simply said, "They don't think. They don't think." I experienced an interview today with one of my clients, and I asked a question, and the response was, "I don't know." 4 times in a 1 hour conversation, her response to my question was, "I don't know." So at the end of our meeting, I said, "Okay, so starting next week, you're cutting those words out of your conversation. I don't know is a scapegoat. Stop, think, make a decision." We're all guilty. My wife asked me the other night, "Where do you want to go to dinner?" I don't know. Where do you want to go? Can't even make a decision about dinner, right? So let's think about that. All this propaganda that we just read about, are you stopping, doing your due diligence, figuring out the facts to the best of your ability, and then taking action in that regard? I'm just jumping into the chat real quick. I see a couple things going in here. All right, so Nicole, no, Toby Beth Johnson, same Nicole. All it took was just one. Okay, what are you talking about here, Toby Beth?
Sorry, I was in the middle of typing my last manager when, right, we were solving something big and right, the whole room or even on the phone was quiet. He was like, "You're paid to think." Like, say something like that would drive him bonkers.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, literally, we're paid to think. And if we don't take control, we end up responding, I'm sorry, reacting to the circumstances around us versus making a decision and responding in an appropriate manner, right? Going from consequence to consequence. So I try not to listen to all this propaganda. I recommend that you don't watch more than 30 minutes of the news every day, if that. I mean, I just try to watch 30 minutes, make sure some idiot didn't blow the world up and I need to go somewhere. But at the end of the day, we don't need all that negativity. What are you feeding your mind? What are you listening to? What are you reading? What are you watching? Who are you hanging out with? That's what's going to help you become the best person that you can possibly be. Any other comments before I move on back to the book?
I just want to add, I haven't watched the news in several years.
I love it. I love it. Nothing there for you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Go ahead, Len.
What you're saying about our friends and everything, I go back to when I was younger, and my mother would always say, "Who are you hanging around with? Because you're acting like somebody else."
Interesting.
You
Interesting.
know,
Yeah.
so look around. What are your friends doing? And no, that person's not here anymore. Not invited to come here. Not
Yeah.
that she didn't like him. It was just she didn't like my behavior.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up. So yesterday, it was yesterday, I was coaching a group of real estate agents that I work with every week. And one of the younger ladies, relatively new to the business, she said, I've got one of my best friends who we've known each other since we were like 10 years old. And I just can't hang out with her anymore because she's too negative. She's got all kinds of drama going on in her life. And one of the hardest things for this young lady to do was to say, you know what? You're still my friend, and I'm here if you need me, but I can't spend hours on the phone with you in the evening when I need to be doing other things with my family and with my work, listening to all of this negativity. Boy, that took a lot of strength. And let me tell you what happened. The friend decided to take action and change her environment. And she's now going through the proper process of getting a real estate license to hopefully have a better career in real estate versus what she was doing. So sometimes just being, I'll use the term, kindly honest with the people around you, just that one little seed might help somebody make a decision. The old saying, misery loves company, right? So if you're going to tell me your sob story and I'm going to listen to it, then it's my fault for listening to it and you feel comfortable because I'm listening to it. Well, you know what? Success likes company too. So perhaps you can guide somebody with just a thought or just an experience or just by encouragement that they could do something different if they choose to. And this is the conversation we had yesterday in my group session was it's all about choice. We get to make choices. And your choices, all your choices, have consequences, either good or bad. So what if we shared that message with the folks that we love and want to encourage? We don't want to, I mean, you can't pick your family. Family's your family. Some of them are really negative and some of them are really positive. But you don't just dump them off the side of the road and say, see ya. But maybe you can just say, hey, look, I get it. I understand what you're going through. I'm just choosing not to participate in that. And this is what I'm going to do. If you want to come with me, let me show you how. For me, I think that's what we're doing right here. This is what we're doing within NHI, within Zig Ziglar, within Tony Robbins, all of these people that are out there spreading the word of positivity is to fight back against all this negativity that we just read about. Go ahead, Len.
I'm going through something the last little while, And somebody made a comment the other day, and I'm almost afraid to share it because it's not making me feel comfortable, but yet it kind of brings me back to when I was younger, when my mother used to say, "Don't hang around with that person, keep them away," you know? And something was just said to me from somebody that it was, I'll share it. And if it's, you don't want to hear it, close your ears, because it bothers me, but I need some help. Okay, is that fine? I have
I'm,
there is this person who's come since I've been back home, and she wants to come into all the circles I'm in, and it's just, however, I'm finding that her negativity about everything, the wars, about, and she really gets down. And if I say something, somebody said, she bullies you, Lynn. I said, she does she? And the thing is, I was in this one company, and so she went in another company, wants me in and taking all my people, and I'm thinking, well, that's not nice. So one person said, friends who are dressed as the devil is more dangerous than an enemy you know. Does that make sense? How she said, friends who are dressed like, yeah, it was something like that. Does that make sense? And I thought, how do I get this people out of my life? I don't want this person. Or what do I do? And it shows that I'm not strong enough to talk the way that one person said, you need to be away. Because, yeah, and even in public, she'll come up to me and she'll say something nasty. Like, I'm thinking, I'll give her a compliment. And I think what it is, she wants my people. Because I bring her to, I've invited her right at the beginning to my breakfast meetings, my mastermind meetings, and she'll come to take my people.
anyone have any comments or suggestions for Lynn?
Cut bait, Lynn. Cut her out of your life.
Well, that
You
was,
don't need people like that in your life.
you
Just
know
cut her
what?
right out.
Hey, Sean,
I
don't
got
sugarcoat it,
goosebumps.
Sean.
And you just
Don,
don't give no explanation because people like that, they're gonna try to get back in, cut her right off.
that was
And don't invite her
exactly,
or anything.
Yep, yep. Lynn, here's the thing, and Napoleon talks about this. In fact, there's a story about Andrew Carnegie, who invested quite a sum of money in recruiting one of the best engineers in the steel industry to come to work with his company. And keep in mind that that Andrew Carnegie, his mastermind included over 50 different individuals. Andrew knew nothing about the creation of steel. He didn't know anything about it at all. He just knew how to harness the power and the experience of other people to build his organizations, which made him a multimillionaire, if not a billionaire in those days. And at the end of the day, the engineer that he invested greatly in to bring into his circle turned out to be argumentative. He wasn't a team player. He caused more problems within the mastermind than he did anything else. And Andrew cut him loose. Just like Sean just said, just cut the bait because he realized that that one person was poison in his entire industry, in his corporation, right? So we have to realize, even in our mastermind groups here, if somebody comes in with complete negativity, my intent is to be so positive that they decide to leave on their own. And I don't go out of my
well,
way
this
to
one
I
won't.
I
This
don't
one
go out of
won't.
my way. I don't go out of my way to invite people in. And if it comes to a point, if it ever come to a point that someone was poisoning this mastermind, I would privately ask them not to come back.
Hmm.
Plain and
That's why
simple.
I was really afraid to say to share what I'm sharing,
Hmm.
because I didn't know if it was, like I felt there was some poison in there, but it's
No.
not. It's I need help on this, and I've been
Well,
praying on it.
mhm.
And she took my group of people to Toronto yesterday, and she's taking my doctors away from me.
Okay.
So why don't you just confront her and ask her why is she doing that?
Because
I
she
would-
said to me she believes more in what she's doing than what I'm doing. And I think that's fucking, oh, sorry, I didn't mean that.
Okay.
We're
Really
recording,
not saying
Lynn.
it. I
We're
am
Lynn.
sorry.
Bleep.
Oh, yeah. And I thought, no way, you know,
This is
I
Lynn,
do.
this is Lynn, my friend from Canada. Careful.
Flip
This is a
fucking
Careful.
safe
away.
area.
The safe
Oh
area,
my God.
exactly.
Yeah,
You know,
no, like I said, for me to come out with something like that, it's got to be bothering me. It really has to be
yeah,
bothering, and I have to let it go completely. I have to let it go, let it go.
Lynn,
cut.
have you tried having just an honest, frank
I
conversation with
can't
her
with this person.
one-on-one?
This person, what she'll say, she's Italian, and she'll say to me, she'll say, "That is the passion in me. Don't you know that, Lynn?" And I'm thinking, that's more like anger to me. And then she said, "Don't you know the difference with passion?" And I said, "I'm sorry, but you're bringing anger out of me." And I just hear anger, and maybe anger, I have anger inside of me, and that's what I'm hearing from her. But it's always putting down, oh, and she's following this one group, and it's always about, maybe there's something good about, I don't know, but it's just not what I want, where I want to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you
Then
know
don't
what?
go there.
Don't go there. Exactly. Toby Beth, I agree 100%.
Just
Lynn,
don't go there.
here's the thing. When people are argumentative or aggressive, the best way to shut that down is you don't respond to it. Because if you respond in like kind, you're just creating a battle. So when someone is aggressive, I just, okay, you have a right to your opinion, and I walk away. And I take away all the fight out of them because I'm not fighting,
Yeah.
right? You have to make your own decisions, obviously. But when you
Oh,
find
I've already told the people, and if you want to go with her, that's fine. But I'm not going there.
it's not a
I'm not.
competition. Exactly. Take the high road. Don't go there.
I
You
said
do.
we're collaborating. We're not in competition. That's what I said.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm just leaving it up to God and see what happens.
Take
But I'm
the
out
high
there. Thank you.
take
What
take
Sean
that,
said and everybody.
Lynn,
I'm
take the high road. There you go. Take the high road. That's all.
yeah.
Anyone
It's
else?
hard. It's hard sometimes, like you said earlier. When
Lynn,
Yeah. But
Lynn,
they're
you're
not
my
going to, Lynn, they're not going to follow that other person. They'll come back to you. If she's that
yeah,
aggressive and you don't like
exactly.
her, just give
they've
it
already
time. They'll all
called
come
me.
back.
Exactly.
They've already called me and they understand. They
Yeah.
understand. It's just I hate, it's making me stronger. It is making me stronger. And I'll be honest with you, when you asked about wins, and now that you're saying it, I couldn't answer any of the wins because this thing has been bothering me. But it's making me stronger. So that is one of the wins I'm having.
There you go.
Don't give the devil that power. You're giving the devil too much power.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's to recognize that friends can be dressed as the devil.
And also remember that every adversity plants a seed of potential opportunity.
Yes, and there is an opportunity there in something, and she's just dangling it. And I said, I don't want it, you know,
Well,
or
it's
I
not gonna
have
come
to
from her.
collaborate.
It's not gonna come from her. It's just you have to look for the seed of opportunity because it's nothing more than a seed. You're going through an adversity right now, and you have to look for the seed of opportunity so that you can move in a different direction, in a better direction, because she's unveiling something for you.
Yes, and there has been, and I want to go that way. Somebody had suggested to do something completely different, and it, it'll work out. It'll work out. And I thank you for allowing me to share it because it's just something that I needed to get out, and I didn't want it to fester inside of me. Thank you.
I heard somebody say in the room it's a safe place, Lynn, so it's all good. You're cool.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
You're cool and you're done. Where'd she go?
It's done. It's
We're
done.
friends. You're done. You're done,
I'm
lady.
done. Yeah.
Bindu, go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, actually, I know someone who was always speaking in negativity. And initially, I used, sorry, initially, I used to tell her, why are you saying, always seeing the negativity in such persons? And whatever I have learned through our self-discipline camp, I used to tell her at some point of time, I thought of stopping the call and decided not to talk with her again. But still, I knew she need a shoulder because she was going through a lot of things. So then I decided, okay, let her say whatever she has in mind. If she is getting relieved, the only thing is I should not go emotionally into that. I can stay away as if looking into her from some other place, and I can just go with that. And I decided not to stop talking with her, and I kept going. In between, whenever I get time, indirectly, I used to point out that if what I'm normally do is, if someone is being so negative, I'll stop sharing time with them. And fortunately, she has changed a lot. And nowadays, I don't keep in touch daily. Once in a while, once in a month or some, so I used to call her. And whether she has decided not to say such things to me, or whether she has totally changed, now she speak only positive things. She doesn't say any negative things to me. She's one of my relative. I know what I knew what she was going through. I knew all other persons also. So that is why I just wanted to continue uh, in in contact with her, and I could change her. And at least to me, she is not saying any negative things.
Yeah.
And she is always positive.
Yeah.
At least when she speaks to me.
Yeah. And Bindu, you did the right thing. Staying connected, staying involved. Uh, for the record, guys, we cannot change anybody. Everybody has to make a decision to change themselves. I had a call today from a woman who I met a couple of months ago at a networking event. She has a 28-year-old son who is unemployed, negative, not doing anything, can't pay his bills. She's been supporting him, and she asked me for help. And I said, well, what's his attitude? What's his personality? Where is he? And I said, just for the record, you asking me to help him isn't the same as him being ready to be helped, right? And sometimes, I mean, all the time, if somebody needs help, they have to be open to receive it. And so my effort today was to, yesterday I launched an 18-week series on my YouTube channel about the 17 principles of success. And I said, look, why don't you share the video with him? It's only 12 minutes. Let him watch it, see if it connects with him. And if he wants to arrange for a meeting, then he's opening himself
Ja,
up.
comes.
He's opening himself up to actually have a communications with me. Now he's showing an effort that maybe he'd be interested in doing something. So all we can do is respond kindly, stay positive. Maybe the relationship takes a little bit of a pause until they get through whatever they're getting through, and then they realize, and they will realize that they were being completely negative. And sometimes when someone says some negative things to me, I just simply say, I appreciate your opinion. It's just not how I choose to look at it. So if I can do anything for you, let me know, but I'm going to keep going in this direction because this is what I'm focused on. We don't have to cut people out completely. We don't have to be mean to people. All we have to do is realize that they're people. We're all people, and we all react to different situations in different ways. And that, is coming from somebody who I used to be the guy that told everybody they were crazy. And, suddenly I realized that, well, maybe I'm the crazy one to think I can impact everybody because we can't. We can try to help. That's all we can do. Right. So, anyone else have a comment? We're coming up on 5 minutes left in the call. So, Betty, did you have some?
Yeah, a friend of mine, whenever she doesn't agree with something, she always says that's an interesting point of view. And sometimes that's a slap in the face, but it's another way of, I guess, stopping the conversation because it stops it immediately.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that because when you said that, I'm remembering somewhere in my readings from Napoleon, one of the suggestions he makes is when someone gives you an opinion, whether it's negative or in opposition to what you think, simply ask them to justify it. How did you come to that point of view? And oftentimes they can't tell you. So it's the same type of thing, what you just suggested, Betty. You know, that's your opinion. How did you come to that? And they don't have an answer, so it shuts it down. Right? So you're not responding with an argument, well, I disagree with you. Well, how did you come to that opinion? And I think the way Napoleon presents it, it's having an open mind to maybe there is some validity to what they're saying. Tell me, help me understand where you're coming from, and then see where that takes you. Because oftentimes, as Napoleon says, oftentimes they don't have a response. Go ahead, Lynn.
Thank you for allowing me. And I do feel safe here. I really, really do. And I said something earlier, and as I was listening and all this, it was almost like it reflected back to me again. Remember, I said when I was younger, my mother used to say, "Don't hang around with that person because you're starting to sound like that person. You're starting to be like that person. Just stay away." And all of a sudden, this person, sometimes I'm wondering if my own personality is coming back. Look at, I swore. Like, I don't swear all the time. And I'm thinking, what made me do that? It's, and I know right now, being in this here group about, oh, when I first started, I had a huge shift. And I have a few school teachers, and one of them, I call her my angel. And I had coffee with her today again. And she says, I says, Nicole, her name is Nicole. My sister's is Nicole, and there's another Nicole here. Anyways, I had said to her, I think I'm going through another shift right now. I really feel it. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I'm feeling things, that's happening. I don't know if it's the universe or these portholes or whatever. I'm feeling sometimes we're shoved in a different way and we don't understand it. And then the shift just happens. Well, when I started this work, I had a huge shift. And today she said to me, she said, I remember when you had that first shift. And she says, I saw it in you. And I said, I think I'm having another one, Nicole. So I'm anxious to go coffee with her later. But Toby, Beth, you had also said something when you first started. You seen something when, this time a few weeks ago. You seen it in me. So hopefully this person is just getting me to that next shift that I'm going into. That's all I had to share. I'm hoping that's what it is.
Well, Lynn, thank you, and I'm glad you feel safe, and I'm glad that you're shifting. Shifting is good. Remember, we are the sum of the five people that we hang around with the most. So be aware of who you're hanging out with, what you're doing with your time. I've got 7:59, so anyone have any final comments as we go around the wheel? Any final comments to share, to add? Some of you have been very quiet tonight. Emmanuel, any big takeaways from this evening?
I think my big takeaway is hearing the different views how people deal with negativity. And on my part, I usually try to listen to something positive. I know there are so many things going in the world, and I try to keep my mind in a positive way by listening to something positive, and also listening to the stories of people. How have they handled the negativities and tough experiences in their life, and how they were able to overcome and be an inspiration to other people like Brian Tracy, like people like Jim Rohn, and so on. There is also a favorite pastor I like to listen to, Mark Murdoch. He really is inspirational, and so I try to put a lot of my mind always in the positive way every day.
I love that. Thank you, Emmanuel. And and with that, it leads right into the way I'd like to end this call tonight. How are you feeding your mind? What are you reading? What are you listening to? What are you watching? How are you starting your day? Bindu mentioned the self-discipline camp. Napoleon Hill Institute has a self-discipline camp. They meet at 5:30 every morning, Monday through Friday. And it's actually also called the disruptor phase. It's changing the way you think, the way you do things, changing your habits. If anyone's interested in perhaps taking advantage of that, it's a 30-day program. It's just been cut in half on the price. It was $199. It's now $99. If you want to get involved, just let me know. Shoot me an email or a text. But here's what I went through it for 8 months. It's a 30-day program. I did it for 8 months in a row. Betty's been there with me. I know Bindu's in there. Joel, I think you've been in there as well. 3 months. There you go. Lynn's been there. And here's the deal. Toby Beth's been there. Here's the deal. What are your routines in the morning? How do you start your day? Now, I've chosen to start my day based on what I learned in the self-discipline camp. So I have a journal. I list out what I'm grateful for. I list out what maybe my minor successes might have been over that day. I also listen to 2 meditations. I mentioned that earlier today. And I start my day with journaling, gratitude, meditation, and exercise. Move the body, right? And I find that if I don't start my day that way, it impacts the rest of my day. So if you have those types of habits, look at them, see if they're serving you at the highest level. Maybe make some tweaks or some adjustments, get involved with something that's maybe a little bit different. But if you don't have a routine, remember, self-discipline is only in play until you make your routine a habit. Once it becomes a habit, you don't need any more self-discipline. You just do it because it's part of your natural flow. So I recommend everybody in the room, as we wrap up tonight, look at what your routine looks like for tomorrow morning. Are you doing all of the things that you could be doing to start your day off in the best possible way? And I don't care if it's the self-discipline camp with Napoleon Hill. Ziegler probably has something very similar. There's all types of stuff that you can watch on YouTube. I watched a great video today. I'll probably share it on my YouTube channel tomorrow. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can go to fill your mind with good, inspirational knowledge, motivation to impact your life in a positive way, to fight the devil with all of his propaganda. There's a lot of good stuff out there. You just got to look for it. All right. So with that, guys, I hope you have a great evening. I look forward to seeing you next week. Some of you, I hope to see you. Betty, I'll see you next week, I think, for dinner. And it's all good. Yolena, I'm not coming to Ohio anytime soon, but I hope to soon. And I'll see you up there. Have a great night. Brad, talk to you later, my friend. Good night, guys.
Good night, guys.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Frank.
Fran.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Good
Love
night.
you
Good
all.
stuff.
I love you all too.